If you have survived narcissistic abuse and you feel like you keep getting in your own way, like you keep pulling the rug from under your own feet right when things are starting to go well, I need you to hear this. You're not crazy, you're not weak, and certainly you're not doing this on purpose. A narcissist does not just break your heart, they rewire your operating system. They turn your own survival instincts against you so that long after they're gone, you continue doing their job for them. You keep yourself isolated, small, hungry, tired, and convinced that you do not deserve more. Today, I am naming 7 self sabotage habits that live inside almost every narcissistic abuse survivor, and I can guarantee that. I'm Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. We're talking about the 7 ways survivors unknowingly sabotage their own healing and happiness. Stay until the very end because number 7 catches people completely off guard. Before I start with number 1, I am doing a workshop on how to break the trauma bond with a narcissist in 5 practical steps, and it happens only twice a year. Book your spot right now. The link is in the description as well as the comments below. Number 1, isolating, escaping, and not eating. You isolate yourself. You escape from everything and you stop eating properly because everything feels overwhelming and you are disconnected from your body. After narcissistic abuse, you start making your world smaller and smaller. You cancel plans, you stop answering texts, and then there is the food. You skip meals. Why? Because your stomach has been clenched for so long that eating feels like a chore or you are not getting those signals. Your body, maybe you have suppressed hunger. Maybe those things did not matter. You learned that meal times were minefields and it still treats nourishment like a risk. You are not isolating because you dislike people. Your nervous system genuinely believes every interaction is a potential ambush. It's like a smoke detector that got exposed to too many fires. Now it goes off when somebody lights a birthday candle. Which brings us to number 2, rehearsing painful scenarios. You rehearse painful scenarios in your mind over and over again without a cause. Why would you voluntarily replay the worst moments of your life? Here is why. Your brain is trying to solve an unsolvable equation. It keeps returning to the scene of the crime because it believes if it replays it enough times, it will finally find the answer that makes the pain make sense. We call it rumination. Like a detective pinning photographs on the wall, connecting red strings between clues, trying to crack a case that was never meant to be cracked. And every time you replay that scenario, your body responds as if it is happening right now. You are unconsciously re-traumatizing yourself in your own mind and you do not even realize you're doing it. Number 3, hyper self-awareness. You become excessively self-aware, constantly monitoring how you act, speak, and come across. A narcissist trains you to become your own surveillance camera. After years of being scrutinized and marked for the way you laugh or the way you told a story, the way you show up, you develop an internal monitor that never switches off. You walk into a room and start editing yourself in real time. Did I say that too loudly? Was that appropriate? Am I taking up too much space? People may even compliment you for being thoughtful and careful with your words, but you're not being thoughtful. You are being terrified. There is a world of difference between choosing your words carefully and filtering every sentence through a wall of fear because you have been punished too many times for saying the wrong thing. Number 4, giving up before trying. You give up before you even try. This is learned helplessness. It sounds like this. Why bother? It will not work anyway. Someone will just take it from me. The narcissist taught you this. Every time you had a dream, they belittled it. Every time you succeeded, they punished you for it. Your brain made a logical decision. If trying leads to pain, the safest strategy is to never try at all. Think of a bird kept in a cage for years. One day the door opens, but the bird does not fly out. Why? Because it has been shocked so many times for reaching the bars that it no longer believes the door open, which it sees, is real. Number 5, feeling motivated and then being lazy, then not getting anything done. That is what is called extinction. Extreme bursts of motivation followed by complete collapse. 1 week you are on fire, journaling, exercising, setting boundaries. 3 days later, you are on the couch, staring at the ceiling, unable to return a text message. This is not laziness. This is what happens when your nervous system has been running on emergency fuel for years. It's like a car that has been redlining in sixth gear for a decade. The moment you accelerate, the engine gives everything it has, but it overheats fast. And when it crashes completely because the narcissist trained your nervous system for a very long time and nobody taught you how to refill the tank slowly. Then comes hyper independence, the most important one. You refuse help from anyone and carry everything alone. This gets mistaken for strength, but you are not choosing independence. You are running from dependence because the last person who said, "Let me help you," used that help as a leash. The last person who said, "I will take care of you," turned that care into a debt you could never repay. So now your brain has a simple rule. If I need no one, no one can destroy me. And you built your life like a fortress with walls so thick and nothing gets in. But fortresses do not keep enemies out, do they? They keep everything out. Love, connection, support, the feeling of someone saying, "You don't have to do this alone." All of it, all of it locked outside the walls. Hyper-independence is not freedom. It is a prison you built yourself because someone proved that closeness is dangerous. And then comes the last point, oversharing at the wrong time with the wrong person. You overshare at the most inappropriate times, not consciously. You are at a work meeting and suddenly you are telling a colleague about your childhood. You are on a first date and 15 minutes in, you are explaining the entire trauma. The cashier says, "How are you?" And for some reason, you almost tell them the truth. For years, you were told your feelings were too much, that you were dramatic. So you stuffed everything down. You compressed years of agony into a space the size of a fist and shoved it deep inside your chest. But pressure does not disappear because you ignore it. It builds, and it does not seep out gently. It erupts at the wrong time, with the wrong person, in the wrong place, in the wrong way. Then comes the shame spiral. You walk away cringing, telling yourself, "What is wrong with me?" And that shame pushes the lid back down harder. And that builds even more pressure for the next eruption. Do you see the cycle? You're not oversharing because you are attention seeking. You do it because you have been silenced for so long that when a crack appears, everything rushes out at once. So if you recognized yourself in any of these 7 habits, understand this very clearly. These are not character flaws. These are the fingerprints of someone else's cruelty on your nervous system. Every one of these habits was a survival strategy that kept you alive in an impossible situation. But that purpose has expired. You're no longer in that relationship, hopefully. You are no longer under the same person's control. And now it is time to gently, compassionately begin to update your operating system. Why? Because you deserve software that was written by you for you and not by someone who needed you to malfunction, which is exactly what I help you do in my Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse Healing Program. And that is where the real healing happens. You can join that. Link is in the description and comments as well. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.